My dear brothers and sisters, in our spiritual lives, that is also true. Great things start from small beginning. Our journey to heaven or to hell start with the small things that we do. And that is precisely why in our gospel today, Jesus tells us, the person who is trustworthy in very small matters is also trustworthy in great ones. And a person who is dishonest in very small and trivial matters is also dishonest in great ones. You see the deplorable things that we hate and we detest, like for example, that act of taking advantage of other people, they start small. And that is something that the prophet Amos bitterly criticizes in our first reading today. Because the merchants during their time would only wait for the end of the holy days so that they can continue to take advantage of the poor. And he spoke strongly against that because it displeases the Lord utterly. And those things that he denounces start small. When we appropriate the message of today's gospel in the context of our lives, relevant kaayo ni sa atong mga current events. Many, if not all, we can resonate as we are disgusted and outraged at the great sums of money that are lost from the coffers of our country, especially when we consider the fact that we are living in dire poverty. Many families have suffered dehumanizing poverty, and yet billions are lost from the coffers of our nation. May we continue to strive for the betterment of our community. But when we appropriate the message of today's gospel in the context of our own personal lives, the gospel speaks to you and to me that these billions and trillions of pesos that are lost, they did not start big, they start small. From the petty office supplies that are stolen, like bond papers and paper clips, or time that is stolen from the company because we have not been mindful. Or when we appropriate it in our relationships, we do not wake up one morning and we have already fallen out of love to our beloved spouse. They also start small. From a lingering gaze to a person other than your spouse, to the communication in the social media, to the things that we hide from each other. And then one day we wake up, the family has fallen apart. They start small. But the good news, my dear brothers and sisters, is this: virtue also starts small. When we want to journey closer to the Lord and to concretize the values of the kingdom of God, they also start small. Lingaw kay ko, because one of the habits that I wish to cultivate is the revival of the habit of reading. After graduating from the seminary, I have neglected the regular habit of reading. And then I've seen somewhere that it doesn't have to be grand instantaneously, like finishing a book. Even the commitment to read a single page before retiring to bed is a good start. Virtue starts small. Like for instance, when we consistently show up to each other and give that emotional support that beloved person or spouse is needing, diha man magsugod ang strengthening of our bond and relationship. Or when we are not in good terms with other people, Matod pa ni Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta, peace begins with a smile. Dili man necessary nga maulian na dayon tanan as if nothing happened. Maybe enough na ang i-unblock ni mo siya. Maybe enough na nga mo reacta sa iyahang my day. Our journey to heaven also starts with the small things. Or when we are having trouble in the family, matod pa ni Pope Francis, we do not need to call the United Nations to establish negotiation in the family. Maybe enough na that I will courageously show up, muanha ko sa kananan, so that communication can start again. Great things start from small beginning. As we continue this Eucharist, as we receive the Lord's body in Holy Communion, may the greeting with which we greeted each other at the beginning of this reflection be concretized in our own experience. May we be faithful even in the small things. Because when we commit ourselves to the tiny, seemingly insignificant details of our daily decisions, it is there that we show up to the Lord, so that every step that we take will truly bring us closer to the Lord and to each other.